How to pack a bearing with grease. You've seen these videos before, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. Let's get into it.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So this is going to be a very quick video with a little bit of an experiment going on as well. Talking about how to pack your bearings, whether steering head bearings, wheel bearings, whatever it is, with grease. Now, the usual way is that you get a tub full of grease, you put it on your palm and you just get the bearing and push it in there so all the grease goes in there, right? But invariably, I suppose, there's always going to be gaps where you haven't got grease in it. Or there's little air gaps, whatever. Now, suppose once it starts rotating, it's not really a problem. But for my mind, I would say I want the grease to be completely in there before I put it on the bike. Now, I'm in the middle of resurrecting these set front forks for my project build. Now, this bottom bearing here, I've cleaned out, I've washed out, and I have to pack it manually with grease, okay, in the traditional way. Just get as much in there and away I go. However, this top bearing, I think I can do it a little bit better, and it involves sucking a lot of air. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so if you've ever been on holiday, you get one of these bags here where you put all your clothes in and you suck all the air out. So this is my idea. Unfortunately, I've only got a really big bag, so I'm going to have to modify it a little bit, as it were. But my idea is this. Put grease into the bag, into a corner of the bag. Put the bearing into the corner of the bag where it's got lots of grease. Then suck the bejesus out of this thing, so that all the air comes out of the bearing or sucked out of the bearing, and at the same time it will suck in the grease. Is this going to work? I have no idea. It's completely overkill, I know, but I just got it into my head today. I thought, well, actually, what about if I just sucked the grease into it? Wouldn't that be better? Right, let me do that. Bearing grease. All right, let me just open up this bag. I'm going to try and put the grease right at the bottom here. Let me squeeze some grease out. That's a big old dollop. Put it in the corner there. Get the bearing. Put the bearing in the corner. Like that. Get my hands clean. I suppose I have to keep on saying this is completely overkill, and the engineers out there will be saying, what the hell is he doing? But I just thought it would make a fun experiment. Right, close the bag up. Let me start sucking this out. There we go, stick that in there. Now, that's all attached there. So I'm just going to lay this flat, put the camera on it, and let's see what happens. Okay, the air is being sucked out of it now. You see, getting to that point now, it's actually pushing on the grease or pulling on the grease. Do you know, it's hard to tell whether it's actually being pulled in there or not. There's no more air in the bag. That's completely gone. So you can see there's no air in here whatsoever. So I think I've done a kind of half job here. I think the grease has been sucked into the bearing, but I think you're still going to have to squidge it in there. And it's probably, dare I say it, a cleaner way of doing it. So you sucked all the air out of the bag. That means there's a vacuum in there as well within the bearing. You can see, maybe you can't see, but it's actually brought out quite a bit of the gunk that was in the bearing. So it's almost like it's replaced that old grease that was in there with new. Give it a good old squeeze anyway with the bag. And that's probably even better for the packing the bearing with grease, and you're not getting it all over your hands. I definitely know that the grease has gone through the bearing because it's the old grease that was in there has all come out. It's kind of discoloured elsewhere. Maybe you can't see that. There we go. So you can see there's darker bits around it. So I think it'd be fair to say a combination of the two. You're sucking the air out of the bearing to suck in grease into it, but because you got it within a closed bag and it's all centralized, you can just squeeze the bag and really pack that grease in there a lot better. I think this is going to be my preferred method from now on. Just keep this bag full of bearing grease, pop a new bearing in there, bit more grease, suck it all out, bish bash bosh, done. Let me take it out, let me have a closer look. There's no doubt that there's grease in, around it, all over it. It definitely seems to be, if I look in the recesses there definitely seems to be full of grease. I think that's a different way of looking at packing bearings now. Just do it under vacuum. Maybe that's the way to go. It definitely seems like a cleaner job in that, you know, you can get the grease and just squeeze it in because you've got a bag around it. But I think because the vacuum is there, it helps it anyway. You're not working against the air or any trapped air because the air's been sucked out. Let us know what you think. So there we go. A new way of packing bearings with grease, whether for your steering head bearings or whether for wheel bearings or whatever it is. Any bearing that needs a bit of grease, put it in a vacuum bag, suck the air out of it and suck all that grease in it, and then just use the bag to squeeze it all in there. Yeah, hope you found that useful. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Right, I really must stop with this experimenting lark and crack on with this front end rebuild. Catch you again. Ta-da.